Welcome to the NBA Tip-Off Show here at WagerTalk TV. I'm Megan Payton, joined alongside some of the best betting analysts in the business. We have Steve Merrill, prop god Andy Lang, and sports memo capper Ronald Kabang. We appreciate you all being here as we break down Game 6 in the NBA. Lots of action happening around the world of sports in general this week. We have the NFL draft tonight. We have the Celtics Hawk game tonight. Craziness in the NBA, NHL, all of the above, but it's the NBA show here. We're going to break down the games, talk a little bit about round two. Let's go around the horn and hear what our guys have up at Wager Talk and at Sports Memo. Ronald, start us off. How are you and what do you have going on at Sports Memo?
Yeah, I got one NBA play for tonight. I'm gonna give that out in the best bet section. Things were starting out pretty high in the NBA playoffs, cooled down a little bit, but hoping for a bounce back day tonight. Just get 1-0 and then get it over with.
Yep, well, we got one game to break down in depth. Steve Merrill, how are you and what do you have going on this week?
Yeah, Megan, doing well. It's been a great 2023, as you know. Number one ranked in the NBA, most units won this year. We keep it going with the playoff best bet tonight. And also number one in MLB, 67% winners so far this baseball season. I've got an MLB best bet as well, and it's half price Thursday, which means it's buy one, get one free, basically. It's that simple. 2-for-1 special for Thursday night. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All up at wagertalk.com, half off Thursday. Andy Lang, prop god, how are you? What's going on this week for you?
Really nice last couple of days. Yesterday in particular, plus 10 units. We've been kind of doing one play in MLB, one in NBA, one in NHL, and they've been working. So we've got one really strong play that I love for tonight, and looking forward to the weekend. We got a 4% UFC bet that is up right now. Thursday's a great day to grab that. It's half price Thursday still. So you can grab that up at wagertalk.com. And then also auto racing, Formula One is back. Me and Steve know that's my bread and butter. So we got a great NASCAR race. We got a great Formula One race. So a lot of good things working. Units have been coming in pretty steadily this week. So really happy with the consistency the last few nights.
Absolutely. And we're going to find some value in the NBA today. Here's how the show is going to go. Pretty simple. We're going to break down the Celtics Hawks game. Then we're going to preview round two of the East and West, the games that we know about. We're going to talk Suns and Nuggets, and we're going to talk Knicks and Heat. It's going to be that simple. We'll get best bets at the end as always. Let's start with tonight. Let's go out to Atlanta. It's Boston versus Atlanta. Game 6, tip off at 8:30 Eastern. Celtics -7, totals at 230.5. This is game 6. A lot of pressure for Boston here to close out and move on to round 2. Get ready to play Philadelphia. However, the Hawks have given them a bit of a hard time here, and now they look to get it done. Can the Celtics finally end this series, in which I thought could potentially be a sweep? Hasn't been that way. Ronald Kabang, what's your thought process for the Celtics out in Atlanta tonight for game 6?
Yeah, you're right. It was kind of looking like an easy sweep, but now you see the Hawks fighting back with 2 wins in a row here. Trey has been balling the last 3 games as well. The Hawks also get DeJounte Murray back tonight, so they have some momentum on their side. Historically, though, this is a spot that supports the Celtics. So we can go back all the way to the 2015 NBA playoffs, where road favorites coming off of a home loss as a favorite are 22-4 straight up, 20-6 against the spread. So these teams are covering at a 77% clip. That is the situation tonight for the Celtics. If you look at the Celtics specifically in that same situation as a road favorite, following a home favorite loss since the 2019 regular season, the Celtics are 12-3 straight up and against the spread, and that includes in the 3-0 straight up and against the spread in the playoffs. So most recent instance was last year versus the Heat. They got it done there, but the counter narrative to that is the Celtics are also 0-4 straight up and against the spread when up 3-2 in the series since the 2017 playoffs. So that counter narrative there is pretty strong as far as, how they do in certain situations in the playoffs with this core unit here. Tonight I'm gonna stay away from the side. I have a better look on the total here, but if I was forced to play anything on the side here, I would go towards the Celtics. I think the Hawks probably should have been in Cancun already. So that would be the way that I look from a side perspective.
The Celtics have been a great first half team against the Hawks. I'm looking at Jason Tatum. He's been the leading scorer for Boston, yet the last game on Tuesday, he was averaging, or he only had 19 points. So, Andy, from a prop perspective, do you expect Tatum to have a bounce back game and a potential closeout game for the Celtics?
Yeah, pretty amazing. I mean, the two of the worst 3-point shooters in the playoffs have been Jason Tatum and LeBron James, two big names. So you've been cashing those unders on the 3-point shots. I don't know what to make of Tatum. He gets into these funks. When he's hitting his 3-pointers, he looks like an MVP caliber player. When he's going 1 for 10, he looks like uh, far from an elite player. So I don't really know what to expect from him. I think there are a lot of props that you can go after. I'll give you a bunch of leans that I have because I have my strongest play that's up, and we'll go over best bet here. A couple of leans. I liked Trae Young to make over 2.5 3-pointers. Just on sheer volume, he's getting there. I couldn't quite make that a play because if you're Boston, I think you just got to go all out to stop the Trae Young scoring machine. Dave brought up DeJounte Murray going over his points, rebounds, and assists. I've certainly been riding that one. I'm concerned about him tonight, and mostly from last game. He got over his total last game, but it was a little bit lucky. Just at the very end of the game, he had a meaningless 3-pointer. He also had a rebound that just fell right to him that he got an easy putback. So on paper, it looks like he went way over his total, but he really didn't. And what I didn't like was he gave up at the end. The last few minutes, he was not trying. Trae Young was, and then you see him get so mad that he walks off the court and bumps the referee. I didn't like anything from DeJounte Murray. And if this game does get out of control, I saw a lot of quit in him the last game. I don't want to take the chance with DeJounte in that one. So I can't ignore Derek White. I was so mad at myself because Derek White went under his PRA the 2 games ago. He just had a miserable game. He was out of sorts. He got into foul trouble, and I thought, I got to go back to Derek White again. And sure enough, he goes over his points, rebounds, and assists. He's been fantastic for the Celtics, especially when Marcus Smart is not hitting his threes and Jason Tatum is not hitting his threes. Derek White is a fantastic guy to go straight at Trae Young. And Trae Young's patented after you defense, the after you to the rim. And then there's Derek White for the layup. So I think those are a few. And I got to say, I'm just, my mouse is hovering over hitting yes on taking the Atlanta Hawks over 111.5 for their team total. Trae Young doesn't give up at the end of the game. If they're down, he's going to be trying to score as much as possible. I think the Hawks are for real. I think they can smell that they can take this Celtics series one more game. So I see a lot of points. I don't know if the Celtics team has the defense in them. I do like that 111.5.
Trae Young had his best game of the postseason on Tuesday, 38 points, 13 assists, and DeJounte Murray is coming back from a suspension due to the official altercation, we'll call it. I see that as a problem for the Celtics with the production increase that Murray has had in the postseason. He's getting more points, he's getting more rebounds, and he could be a better facilitator against this Boston team. Steve, do the Celtics close it out tonight against the Hawks?
Well, we all thought they were going to close it out, obviously, on Tuesday night, right? And I did the show here Tuesday with Joe Megan, and we were all saying the odds of all 3 double-digit home favorites winning outright was 63%. That's what a 3-team parlay true odds were. Of course, Phoenix and Denver, who we'll talk about both of those that series coming up here in just a moment. They both got it done, but it wasn't pretty. They were trailing. It was close. And, of course, the Celtics blow the double-digit lead. Hawks had less than a 2% chance of coming back and winning that game, and they did so. And keep in mind that Philadelphia is still waiting for Boston. And this gives Embiid extra time to get healthy because there's never a set schedule in the NBA, right? I mean, they start series when they want to, like we've seen with these ones coming up that we're going to preview. So Philly caught a real break by the Hawks pulling that upset because now this goes a couple more days. It delays the Eastern Conference semifinals starting a couple more days. And the Celtics do need to get it done. Now, needing to get it done and getting it done are 2 different things, obviously. I do have a strong best bet on the side for my clients for half price Thursday right now on my page at WagerTalk.com. So I'm going to focus on the total a little bit here for this segment. We've seen a little bit of sharp money. I think it's sharp money come from 232 down to 230.5. And I would agree with the under here. In fact, it's 231 in a lot of the Vegas books. Some of the leading offshore indicator books are 230. Some of the sharpest books that I follow around the world. So I do think there's some sharp money on the under in this game. And it is an elimination game. All game 6s and 7s are by definition elimination games. And historically speaking, over the decades I've done this, game 6 and 7s are a little bit lower scoring on average than the rest of the series. So the defense does come when the series is on the line. And you would think that'll be the case here tonight. Also, Boston has to get by with some defense after Atlanta shooting 46% from 3-point range in that last game. And the Hawks also shot 38% in the game 5 or game 4 rather at home. And in game 3, they shot 44% from 3. So I think that's going to be the focus, is try to limit the outside shots. And if threes are a little less likely tonight, I think this game gets under the 230.5.
If there's one team rooting for the Hawks, that's the Philadelphia 76ers. They just want a game 7, hold out the East as long as possible. Boston hoping to close it out tonight in game 6. Let's talk round 2. We have some solidified games. We're going to go out west. Let's talk Suns Nuggets. The first game on the slate is going to be Saturday at 10 Eastern. Nuggets are a 2.5 point favorite. Totals at 224.5. This is going to be a star-studded series, guys. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Jokic. Denver gets home court advantage. Andy Lang. There's so many props available for this with all of the stars in it. Any initial thoughts as we look at this game out west?
Yeah, I think Phoenix struggles. They got handed a gift, and that's the gift of the Paul George and Kawhi not being there. And even then, I still didn't think they were as dominant as they could have been. They are running the tightest rotation you could possibly run. I mean, it is a few guys doing all of the scoring, and they literally are one injury away from being, well, the Clippers. So I think Denver's depth is going to be a real problem for them. I did not like the defense on the perimeter for Phoenix. It's just too much to ask Devin Booker and Chris Paul and Kevin Durant to do all of that on offense and then somehow try and play great defense. I think Jamal Murray continues his really good run in the playoffs. I think Porter could have a really nice run. I think he could do a lot of damage to Kevin Durant on defense just by making Durant work as hard as he does. And then, of course, Megan, we're still getting plus 160 on Jokic, triple-double. I mean, this guy's, it's 2-1. You just play Jokic, triple-double. I swear, I could just do that I could do no more bets for the rest of the NBA playoffs and just do that, and I will probably come out ahead. I guess the other one, it's as square as it. Here, I even have a prop for this one. Whenever I do a square bet, here's your incoming square. Here's the incoming square play. I mean, Devin Booker over his points, rebounds, and assists. They keep putting this at 40.5. The guy can go over with just his points like he did the other night. He's involved in the rebounding. He's involved in the assists. So I'm certainly not going to be taking an under on Devin Booker anytime soon. I think for this series, though, I will focus in on Jamal Murray, and I will keep going back to Jokic. So I may take the first game to see how everything plays out, but I like Denver in this series. I think Phoenix is going to run out of steam. I think Chris Paul is going to end up being a real liability on defense. And I think this Denver team is way better than the Clippers team that we saw in the first round.
Jokic nearly averaged a triple-double in the regular season. Andy, I've backed you multiple times with this prop, and it's cashing me out all the time. Jokic triple-double, it sounds crazy to say that's a lock, but it feels like it at this point. Both the Suns and the Nuggets were able to get the victories against their first-round opponents in just 5 games. Now we're up for a bit of a challenge. Steve Merrill, how do you expect this one to play out? Series starts off out in Denver.
Well, we talked, when the playoffs began, that aren't we glad the postseason's here, because all that regular season craziness of players being injured, sitting out, uncertainty is all done. And of course, it's been nothing like that. The playoffs are just regular season part 2 with, as Andy said, the Clippers are shorthanded with Kawhi and George out. Giannis gets hurt 10 minutes into game 1. The Bucks were a 1-13 favorite to win that series. Fall. By the way, the Heat were 50-1 to win 4-1 at some sports books. If you're bold enough to take that, you had a nice payday. It's been crazy. And to make it even crazier, not only are the Bucks the overall favorite at less than 3-1 out, but don't forget the Suns as the 4 seed are favored to win the Western Conference. The 6 seed Warriors, who are in a tight series as we speak, were the second favorite. And lo and behold, nobody wanted anything to do with the number 1 seed Nuggets. 4th best record in the NBA. They weren't even the top 2 favorite in their own conference. So I feel like they've been undervalued this entire playoffs. And now we get them once again at plus money as a home dog with home field advantage, home court advantage here in this series. And like Andy said, there's definitely some downside risk to Phoenix. They're one injury away from being a much weaker team with such a limited lineup. Jokic is the same situation, but he is a triple-double machine. And I think if you're going to play this series price, the value is with the number 1 seed as a plus money underdog.
It's hard to look at these two teams, the Suns and the Nuggets, and look at history from the regular season. They played 4 times this season, both won twice. However, the first two, Jokic wasn't playing, or I'm sorry, the first two, Durant wasn't even a member of the Phoenix Suns. And then the next two, Jokic wasn't playing due to injury. And now we're really feeling like we're going to see a complete matchup between the Suns and the Nuggets. Ronald, how do you expect to handicap this series going forward, Nuggets versus Suns?
Touched on their matchups this season. Only Jokic only played that first matchup, which was on Christmas Day, and you guys talked about that triple double. Jokic did have a triple double that game. The Nuggets won 128, 125 in OT on Christmas Day. Jokic had 41 points, 15 rebounds, 15 assists in 44 minutes. I think Aiden just doesn't match up well defensively against Jokic, and that's going to be a problem. The other problem is both of these teams have a really tight rotation in the playoffs so far this season, but more so on the Sun side here, you can see KD and Booker leading the league in playoff minutes, minutes per game, 43 plus minutes each, and then Chris Paul is not that far behind with 38 minutes. Even though the Nuggets also have an 8-man rotation currently, the 6 through 8 guys in the rotation actually play a good chunk of minutes, so they don't have to see Jamal Murray or Kevin Porter or any of these key guys and Jokic play above 40 minutes if they don't need to. I do think that the extended rest for game one does help the Suns here, but I just don't know if it's sustainable for the Suns to be able to have Booker and KD play 43 minutes a game in a 7-game series, which I think it's going to get to that point. The one plus that they do have is campaign. He came back in the last game against that series versus the Clippers. He only played 3 minutes, but if he can work himself back up to the 18, 20 minutes, normal 20 minutes that he had during the regular season, that might be a positive for them. But overall, I just think the Nuggets are too deep as far as versatility on their side for this series here. I think the Suns take it probably in 7 games. Sorry, the
This
Nuggets take
does
it in 7 games.
This does feel like a series that's going to be competitive. Of course, the closer that we get to the finals, the more competitive we expect the series to be. Now, the next series, we probably didn't see happening. Let's go out east to two teams that weren't expected to make it to round two. That's Miami Heat versus the New York Knicks. First game in New York, tip off Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Knicks laying 4, total at 206.5. These were two upset series. We did not expect the Heat to take out the number 1 seed Bucks, and the Knicks will now get home court advantage after not having it in round one. That's rare that we see this. This is a long historical rivalry leading back to 80s, 90s. The last 4 games these two teams have played this series, 3 of the 4 were won by the Knicks. Now we see a bitch one more at stake for the round 2 of the playoffs. Steve Merrill, what do you think is going to happen in this series out in New York starting it off?
So excited for this series because, first of all, I feel like I'm getting in my hot tub time machine. I'm going to go back to the late 90s, call it the flip phone here. We're going to call all of our friends, get together, watch this game. I mean, like you said, this is like all the late 90s playoffs, all have gone and rolled back together 23 years later. And it's a huge surprise because, once again, the Heat were the biggest dog in round one. The Bucks were a 1-13 favorite in that series. Miami was 50-1 to win 4 games to 1. True odds were obviously a lot higher than that. That's what the sports books were offering. And the Knicks were a slight dog to Cleveland. Now, I liked New York in that series. I had them as a best bet in game one, so it wasn't a shock to me that they won the series, but I thought it was going to go 6 or 7. I thought Cleveland would be more competitive in games 4 and 5 than they were. The Knicks are the better team, but they're banged up. Randall has a little bit of an ankle thing going again after last night. And these are two really play against teams for me in this round, so it's getting a little tricky at this point what to do with the series. You can make a case that the zigzag will probably work in this one. 2 mediocre teams, right? The modified zigzag because it's a pretty evenly matched series. I do get a feeling that Miami's playing on borrowed time. That they've been red hot from 3. Milwaukee's defensive set allows some open 3-point shots, and to Miami's credit, they took advantage of that and they hit them in the series. I think the Knicks will probably do a better job limiting that perimeter scoring by Miami.
One player we have to talk about, Andy, I've been excited to get your thoughts from a prop perspective, is Jimmy Buckets. My God, one of the best playoff performances we've seen in recent history. Jimmy Butler has had 98 points over the last 2 games. His playoff performance has really stood out, and this is why I'd say we're seeing them in this far into the playoffs already. From a prop perspective, are we going to eye Jimmy Buckets, or are the odds books getting onto him and how well he's doing?
Uh, it's tough to. because when you look at Miami Heat, yeah, Jimmy Butler had 42 points, but they scored 128. I know it took overtime, but you've got Adebayo went for 20. You had Gabe Vincent that went for 22. Even Lowry pitched in 10 points off the bench. So, if you're the Knicks, you can do a couple things. You can try and just go one-on-one with Butler and let him have his and try and shut down everyone else, or you can really work hard to shut down Butler. It's going to require some double teams and probably leaving some open shooters. I don't know. If I'm New York, I don't want to let guys like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and Bam Adebayo beat me. I would be perfectly fine with letting Jimmy Butler get another monster game or two and just trying to limit the other ones. I think I'm going to take a wait and see approach. I need to see what game one looks like. We talked about Randall being hurt. I've got my eye on Mitchell Robinson actually over his rebounds and over his points, rebounds, and assists. Last two games with Randall not playing and being banged up, he's had some really, really big games, and I don't know how long it's going to take for the books to catch up. You look 2 games ago, he went for 12 and 11. And then in the closeout game, he went for 13 and 18. It's a far cry from what his numbers were being set when Julius Randle was healthy. So I'm going to be patient. I can see some unders going in. The Knicks did a fantastic job against Donovan Mitchell. He was an under machine because they had his points set too high. So maybe they do it again against Jimmy Butler. I just got to see game one. But in game one, I will most likely be taking Mitchell Robinson over his points and rebounds props.
The New York Knicks win their first playoff series in nearly a decade, headed to round 2. Ronald, Knicks will have home court advantage in this series. How do you approach this one out in New York?
Yeah, this one, I mean, in the regular season, the Knicks took the regular season series 3-1. Also, during the regular season, in those matchups, it seems like the Knicks typically started off pretty quick in the first half, and then the Heat kind of take over in the second half. Sometimes it was kind of too late for them to recover and get the win. But for the most part, if you just look at those box scores there, and you could see that's how the game flow was. I think in this situation, obviously when we talk about the playoffs here, you want teams to really peak at the right time heading into the playoffs. And I think that both of these teams have done that, but in different ways, right? I think the Knicks have done it as a team cohesively, but Jimmy Butler is that guy right now that everyone's been talking about. And he was a beast in that first round versus the Bucks. But I just think that the Knicks are really playing really great team ball here. And then I just don't know how long Jimmy Butler can carry this team on his back, in this type of series. Especially this is more of a physical game here with this Knicks team that plays that type of slow pace physical defense. So I'm not too sure that I can trust Jimmy Butler to carry this squad in this series here. I think I would take the better team overall versus the better player, the best player probably on the court in this series. So for me in this series, I actually think that the Knicks can probably take this in 6 games. In my opinion, I think just as a team in general, they got it done here. But I can also see some overs here. I think all 5 games in that Knicks series versus the Cavs went under. I think we see a little bit of a quicker pace here with against the Heat, who have been playing better offense. So I would look towards a couple over games while you have a low total here in the first couple games of the series.
Julius Randle's re-sprained ankle on Tuesday is going to affect the Knicks. Hopefully he can get back ready to go and healthy. I know this is the NBA show, but I feel like we must talk breaking news. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens signed a big extension, 5 years. We'll talk about more of that on the last call. We do have to get into some best bets on the NBA tip-off show. So let's go around the horn. Rules are simple, 60 seconds on the clock. Our panel can do whatever they want with it. They have to get out in time, and we must get a best bet. Ronald will come right back to you. Show us how it's done. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the game that we thought today. The Celtics first half team total over 61. After the All-Star break, the Hawks are 7-0 to the over in home games with a total less than 236. In those games, they averaged a combined score of 252 points. If you look at both the games so far this season in this series in Atlanta, both of those games hit 250 as well. So I would lean towards the full game over. But if we focus in on that Celtics team total over in this series specifically, they're averaging 66.6 points in the first half. They haven't went under the 61 point mark in all 5 games. So 61 or more in all first halves of the 5-game series so far. So I'll trust the Celtics to get it done in the first half to at least score 61 or more tonight. that would be my best bet. I have 3 games in the MLB for today, so those are available over at sportsmemo.com.
With 7 seconds left, Ronald,
That's
I'll
it.
piggyback on you
Yeah.
because the Celtics, I mean, have been able to do fantastic in the first half. We're talking averaging nearly 66 points. To get it, the number at 61 feels like a steal. I like that. I'll also be backing Celtics first half over. Steve Merrill, continue us with the best bets section. 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Going to look at a free NBA play for Game 6 between the Hawks and Celtics. A free over-under selection for you in just a moment for Thursday night. And that's because my top best bet tonight is the NBA side between the Celtics and Hawks. You better pay attention. Nobody's won more units in 2023 in the NBA. I'm number 1 ranked at WagerTalk.com in pro basketball, but also number 1, 67% winners and return on investment for 2023 MLB. So number 1 basketball, number 1 baseball, and it continues with a 2-for-1 special tonight because it's half price Thursday at wagertalk.com. Get my NBA side and my MLB total for half price right now. Steve Merrill, wagertalk.com. Don't forget also, buy 4 weeks, get a 5th for free. Works out to less than $6.50 a day. Full details on my page right now. Steve Merrill, wagertalk.com. Let's go under the total, under 230.5. This line's 231 in Vegas. It's 230 offshore. Some of the sharper books. I like the sharp money move here. Game 6, elimination game. We always see more defense. I think both teams bring the D tonight. Celtics Hawks under the total tonight on Thursday.
And hopefully it can close out and we can move on to round 2. Couple more bets we got to talk about. Celtics, will they get it done? Andy Lang, let's get a prop bet. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Megan, I guess I'm just a sucker for players that, can't navigate holding a flower vase without getting stitches in their fingers. So I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown. By the way, does anyone believe that for 1 second that he cut his fingers on a flower vase? Professional athlete can't handle a flower vase without a medical emergency. Listen. His shot attempts have gone way up. and that's my best bet. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, it's all right. It's Jaylen Brown over his points. It's Jaylen Brown over his points, rebounds, and assists. Just to reiterate, Tate has been struggling shooting the ball. 23 field goal attempts the last couple of games. He's getting really close to this 36.5 points, rebounds, and assist number just with his points. It's a huge game. I don't see any team giving up towards the end. If it's a Celtics win, Jaylen Brown's going to be a big part of it. If it's a Hawks win, you got to believe that Jaylen Brown and the Celtics are going to fight to the end. I like that he's had 7 rebounds and assists and 12 rebounds and assists in his last 2 games. I think that he continues his activity and his red hot shooting. And don't forget, he's going to be able to take advantage of the after you defense from Trae Young. So give me Jaylen Brown over his points, rebounds, and assists.
Hey, happy Thursday. This is how the things go. We roll with it, but I think it's a little bit of good juju for Andy and his best bet. Hope you guys got that down. If you didn't, that's okay. We got today's picks recapped right here. Take a screenshot of our panel's best bets. Andy Lang, Steve Merrill, Ronald Kabang. Appreciate you guys joining us here at the NBA Tip-Off Show. Go cash some tickets. Game 6. We'll be back with more playoff action next up on the NBA Tip-Off Show.
A 30-day all-access pass is priced at $2.99, but for a limited time, we have discounted that price to $2.39, dropping the daily cost to $8.30 per day. Basically, we took $9 Monday, dropped the price, and we're giving you the option to lock the discount for a full 30 days. Even for a limited time, we are adding 7 days free. That's a $99 value to kick in once your 30 days expire. This brings your new daily cost to $6.40 per day. So outside of the discount on 30-day all-access, we are tossing in a free 7-day all-access and $99 value for a combined savings of $159. So to recap, for the next 37 days, you'll get all plays across all sports from your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper played during your access, including 5% best bets for around $6.45 per day. Act fast as the special offer expires at midnight on May 1st.